What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Jerry, and today's video is going to be on the Atlanta Hawks, and we're going to be talking about 3 different ways this team can land Ben Simmons before the trade deadline, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, looking at the Atlanta Hawks, they're 17-21 on the season. They're sitting at 12th in the Eastern Conference, and even though they're sitting so low in the standings, they're still going to be able to compete. They're still going to be able to compete for a playoff spot because they're only like 3 or 4 games out of 8th place. So, we don't really have to worry about that. But anyways, the Atlanta Hawks, they've been really good this season on the offensive side of the ball. One of the best offenses in the league. They can score with anybody, but they've also been really, really bad on the defensive side of the ball. And, they struggle to get stops. And to further prove that point, they're sitting at 2nd in the league in offensive rating, which is really good. And then they're sitting at 28th in the league in defensive rating, which is really terrible, which is really bad. And, before this season started, man, I made like a season preview on the Atlanta Hawks, basically just giving their best and worst case scenarios. And the worst case scenario I gave is like this team, doesn't come back this season with the same defensive intensity that they showed last year during the second half of the season, and then also during the playoffs. We're not seeing that same defensive intensity this year, and they're struggling to get stops. And this a situation like this is really tricky with the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like with them, getting to the Eastern Conference finals last season, it kind of like confused the organization, and it confuses me too, because with a team like that, we saw how far they can get in the playoffs, but it also asks like the question, like, do we go into win now mode? Because the Atlanta Hawks, they have the ability to do that. They can sit, and let these young guys develop. And then they can also, they have the assets to go out and trade and get another star to go along, preferably Trae Young and John Collins. So, in this case, the star we're going to be talking about today is Ben Simmons. And I know Ben Simmons have been getting a lot of heat recently, but he is still a star. He's an all-star in this league, and I think he's a really great player. And, he can... a reason that the Atlanta Hawks should be interested in him, because he can come in and help solve a lot of their problems. Ben Simmons is a guy, we all know what he can provide. He's a great passer, great ball handler, great rebounder, and he's great at finishing around the rim. But also he's great at playing defense, and we've seen how versatile his defense is. We can use an example from last year's playoffs when how hard he was making Trae Young work for his buckets. And just to think about that, Trae Young is all of 6 feet. He's all of 6 feet tall, and Ben Simmons is 6'10", and he's chasing around this little dude, making him work hard for his bucket. So Ben Simmons can come in. He can come in and help a lot, on the defensive end of the ball for the Atlanta Hawks. And he can also provide a bunch of other things, man. Great passing, great rebounding, and he could be a secondary ball handler. But we're going to get into these trade packages, man. And the first one, I'm not really that big of a fan of. We got Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, and DeAndre Hunter. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't know if Daryl Morey will love this trade. He's giving up a guy like Ben Simmons, and he's not getting a star in return, but he is getting some really good players that fit well in that team. That does fit well for that team in Philadelphia. He's getting another sharpshooter and Bogdanovich, and then he gets two-way wing shooters and Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, who right now they have a lot of potential, man. They have all-star potential. These guys could be really great. They could be really great in this league. And then also the reason why I'm not a fan of this for the Atlanta Hawks, if you look at it, if you look at the bigger picture, we're sending away 2 of our young guys with a bunch of potential for a guy that we're uncertain about, and I'm talking about Ben Simmons. You don't know if you're gonna basically you're uncertain about his attitude, or if you go in the press conference and you say something he don't like, you don't know what's that gonna trigger. Is he gonna not come to camp like he did with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I don't know if that's something you want to risk on 2 players like Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. And we all know, man, nobody wants the Hawks to trade DeAndre Hunter, man, because he's a really great player, and the only thing is hindering him is his injuries, man. So once he gets healthy, I'm pretty sure, because right now that's who the Hawks' primary defender is. DeAndre Hunter, and he just can't stay out there for too long. He can't defeat these injuries, not energies. But man, that's one trade right there. I'm not the biggest fan of that one. This one is a little bit better, man. We got Danilo Gallinari. He'll fit well with the Philadelphia 76ers. Come in behind Tobias Harris, give them like 13, 14 minutes of some good offense. And he's also good for the for the Sixers salary cap wise. And then we got Cam Reddish and we got Kevin Huerter. Now, the reasons that the Philadelphia 76ers would accept this trade is, like I said, they're getting a pretty solid backup scorer and Danilo Gallinari, and then they're getting Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter. And one thing we learned about Doc Rivers from last year in the playoffs, he loves to go deep into his bench. He's gonna give guys rest. He's gonna play his bench. And right now, if Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter were probably traded to the Sixers, they probably would come off the bench and they could help. They can help with shooting. If Seth Curry or Danny Green, if they're having an off night, they can come in and hit some shots. And we've already seen that Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter, even though they're so young, they're ready to answer the call in the playoffs. We saw Kevin Huerter with his infamous Game 7 against the 76ers against the last season in the second round, and then we saw what Cam Reddish is capable of against the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference last year. So, this would be a great trade, I feel like, for both sides. Like I said, man, I feel like this is the most realistic trade out of the three. And then the last one, I really don't see happening because the Atlanta Hawks, they just paid John Collins this offseason, and I think they're really big on him, and I am too. But this one is, John Collins, Cam Reddish, and I know you guys call him Double O, man, but I'm gonna try to pronounce his name, Onyeka Okongwu. I know I got the last name right. It's really the first name. But anyways, man, John Collins, Cam Reddish, and Double O. And this one, I feel like this one will be great for the 76ers, but I don't know if the Atlanta Hawks would buy into this one. But with the reason the 76ers would accept this one is, John Collins would be him and Joel Embiid will probably form one of the best front courts in basketball, just because I feel like they can play off of each other, just because John Collins can stretch the floor and he's also very versatile. And then I feel like John Collins will also play well with Tyrese Maxey. And then, like I said, they will be getting Cam Reddish and then another solid backup center in Double O. So and ideally, man, with the Atlanta Hawks, if they were to be able to keep Ben Simmons, I think it would only be as good if the Atlanta Hawks can somehow keep John Collins and have Ben Simmons at the same time. Because the way I'm looking at it, you have Ben Simmons at the 4 and John Collins at the 5. That way, Ben Simmons is the only guy on the court who can't shoot the ball. And when you only have one guy on the court who can't shoot the ball, it's easier for that. It's easier for that guy, man. So just imagine that pick and roll with Trae Young and Ben Simmons. And like I said, John Collins can space the floor, so he can sit in one of those corners and be ready to shoot, because Ben Simmons is going to attract so much attention. But this is just an idea, man, for the Atlanta Hawks to get some help on the defensive side of the ball. And there go the 3 trades right now. I got these 3 trade scenarios from clutchpoints.com, and I thought they were pretty interesting, so I made a video on them. And my opinion on it, man, I would love to see. I would be a fan of that if they could create a big 3 with Ben Simmons, John Collins, and Trae Young. And I think the Atlanta Hawks got all the assets to do that. But that's going to be it for this video, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below if you think the Atlanta Hawks should go in for Ben Simmons, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.